I'm recording this short video on public finance, that is chapter number 7. We are going to discuss in this chapter the three branch taxonomy of the role of government in a market economy. Then we'll analyze the government economic actions. We'll classify them according to the economic functions of the government. As given in the chapter, we'll elucidate the nature of finances and responsibilities of the center and state governments, and we'll describe the mode of division of resources between union and states. Okay. First, we'll cover this, whatever is given from the module, and then I'll give you some extra pointers and notes from other places. Okay. So let us first understand what is public finance, what are the fiscal functions, center, state finance, and the different functions which they perform. So let's start reading this. Now, the governments of all nations have important economic functions, even where markets constitute the basic resource allocation mechanism. That means, even though the markets of a country, that is in an economy, if there is a market where people demand and where some producers supply, and on the basis of that, we are able to identify the prices, and on the basis of that, resources are allocated. In spite of that, the government has certain important functions. What we are trying to say is that even though the market forces have a very important role to play, we cannot negate the efforts of the government. Okay. Now, the size and scope of government in market economies has grown much larger over the past few decades. The primary goal of the state is to promote general welfare of the society. So, what is the primary goal? To promote the general welfare of the society. What governments do or not do will obviously have an impact on the economic performance of the economy and the quality of life of its citizens. That is, whatever the government does, it has a very important impact on the economy also and on the quality of life of citizens. Now, governments at various levels involve in several operations for running the state. For example, government raises money from various sources. Government incurs expenditures, consumes goods, services, borrows money, employs people, provides key institutions such as property rights, etc. So government is involved in all these functions. You may get an MCQ from this, like which of these are not the functions or the functions of government. So money raise karna, expenditure karna, consuming goods. It consumes goods and services because once it consumes, thereafter it shall be able to produce. Then it also borrows money like with the help of bonds, with the help of treasury bills, securities, and all that. It also employs people and it also provides key institutions such as property rights. So government also establishes and administers rules and regulations, and it puts in place all the policies concerning all aspects of life of people. So various rules and regulations are put in place by the government. Various policies are framed, which in effect, which have a lasting impact on the life of the people. We have experienced in our day-to-day life that though governments at various levels impose many rules and regulations, some matters still go unregulated. So, in spite of doing so many things, there are certain matters which a government cannot or does not regulate. Similarly, most of the goods and services that we consume are provided to us by private producers, right? Most of the goods and services that we consume are provided to us by private producers, but there is a broad agreement that certain goods and services should be provided exclusively by the government. For example, defense services, they are provided to us by the government only. As a private producer, I cannot start producing defense services for the nation or for the people of the nation. So usually we have this common understanding between the public sector and the private sector. So for a variety of reasons, we believe that government should accomplish some activities and should not do others. Like for profit motive, we expect that that would be the motive of a private producer, whereas welfare motive things that we assume that this part is going to be taken care of by the government, because that was what the understanding of the government was when our country became independent in 1947. Because at that time, that was the need of that. So since then, we have continued with this, and till date, it is there. So, as we know, macroeconomics is the study of economy as a whole. Three main macroeconomic goals for any nation we have been given. First is economic growth. Okay. Now, how do we measure economic growth of a nation? Again, this can be an important question for MCQ, right? What is economic growth? If the real GDP grows at a faster rate than population, you read about real GDP and nominal GDP. I hope you remember that. In case not, you can just watch that also. So if the real GDP grows at a faster rate than population, that means the exact value or the actual value of the final goods and services which a country produces, if the rate of increase in that is more than the rate in increase in the population, that means we're actually producing good amount of goods and services. And apart from fulfilling the demands of our own people, we'll be able to export, we'll have a good foreign currency reserve and a balance of payment situation also. So people can enjoy a higher standard of living in that case. Now, on the second goal in an economy is the high level of employment. Once the people of an economy are able to achieve good levels of employment, this will help them get higher income. Once they get employment, they will produce certain goods and services. So the output also will start increasing, right? So high levels of employment will ensure higher income and higher output. So this is also one important goal of an economy. However, when unemployment occurs, it harms not only the unemployed but the society as a whole also, because there is loss of output that could have been produced. Now, what is the third macroeconomic goal? That is stable price levels. Stable price levels means that the prices do not fluctuate a lot. Inflation, when the prices increase, this reduces real income. Supposing today I have 100 rupees, and with that 100 rupees, I can buy, let us say, 5 apples. Okay. But suddenly the prices of the apples increase. With that 100, now I can buy only 3 apples or 2 apples. So my real income reduces. And this is basically because the purchasing power gets reduced. Okay. So inflation reduces real income and purchasing power of some people, and disproportionately affects the lower income families, because who is hit most by the increasing prices is the lower income families. Already they are having very less income, and now they have to shell out more part of their income on consumption things, right? So this puts them on a very bad footing. On the contrary, if there is deflation, then there is a down, which deflation actually signals a downturn economic activity. That means people are not willing to buy that much and we are reducing the prices. Okay. So this is because willing to buy means they're willing to probably save more or they're not willing to spend more, either ways. So this may cause a recession or even depression. And once there is depression, because the producers are already willing to, shell out whatever is there in the stock. So basically, they're already full of stocks. They want to clear them off. So when they're already having full stocks, why would they employ more people and why would they produce more? In fact, they would like to shell off those people also who are there on the rolls. So that will lead to large scale unemployment. However, if we come back to the main economic goal which we were looking at, that was stable price levels. So by ensuring stable price levels, the economy can avoid prolonged inflation and deflation, and it can achieve high levels of economic activity and employment. So once the prices become stable, the economy can have stability in terms of what I have to spend, right? And this, with this, I can plan other economic activities also, and the government can also plan what is the demand level in the economy, what is the employment status, and all that. Now, the government does not expect the economy to function automatically. Rather, it intervenes to direct them to function in particular direction. So it's not going by the expectations of the government. Okay. The economy is just not functioning based on the expectations of the government. And in any case, economy does not function automatically that ways also. Okay. So it is a blended effort. We can't say that apne aap sab kuch chalega and we can't say government is sab kuch chalayegi. So government in between comes and intervenes so that it gives that economy a proper direction. Okay. Now, this intervention is based on the belief that the objective of the economic system and role of the government is to improve the well-being of individual and households. So, what is the objective of economic system? What is the role of the government? That ultimately the well-being of the individual should be improved. And because of this thought only, we expect that the government should intervene and show a proper direction. Okay. So we are going to understand in this chapter what are the economic functions of the government and why the government should invariably perform them. So this was the starting portion, introduction of this. You can just once again go through this, and if there is any doubt, we can discuss. Now, we shall first consider why an economic system should be in place. See, the basic problem of scarcity, this is the basic economic problem. This arises from the fact that wants are unlimited. All of us have unlimited wants, resources available are limited. So, because of this, there is a problem of scarcity. And because of the problem of scarcity, we need a proper economic system, right? So, economy cannot produce all the economic goods and services which its members desire to have. So we need to have an economic system by which a society, which involves your households, businesses, and government, they all are able to make decisions about allocating resources to produce products and about distributing those products. So, economic system by which a society makes decisions about allocating resources, like which all resources should I use? Should I use land, labor, capital, and then which all products am I producing? Right? Am I producing consumer goods, or am I producing capital goods? Or if I go by the very primitive theories, then am I actually producing defense or war goods? Right? And then to whom is it being distributed? Like, is it only for the rich people or is it for the poor people? So, who is actually getting the benefit? Okay. So, once we are making those kind of decisions, we need an economic system to do this. Okay. So, the economic system should exist to answer the basic questions as to what, how, and for whom things should be produced, and how much resources should be set apart to ensure growth of the productive capacity. Okay. So, now we know why we need an economic system, right? Now, the modern society in general offers three alternate economic systems through which the decisions of resource allocation may be made. We have three alternate economic systems in the modern society through which we are able to understand how we are going to allocate the resources. What are they? Let us understand them: market, government, and the mixed system, where both markets and government simultaneously determine resource allocation. There is one economy which is only market determined. There may be one form of economy which may be only government guarded. And then there will be a mixed economy where both markets and government simultaneously determine what kind of resources are to be determined. All these are very, very important from the point of MCQs. Okay. The moment the book says three, four, you should get an idea. Okay, there are 3 points for which an MCQ can be framed. Okay. So be very careful once you are doing some sort of self study. So we have three economic systems, namely capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy. Okay, so capitalism is market driven, socialism is government driven, and mixed economy is mixed. Okay, so different degrees of state intervention in economic activity. So same MCQ can be drafted in two different ways. Now you understand that also. Okay. Now, Adam Smith, he's often described as a bold advocate of free markets and minimal government activity. This can also be an MCQ, like who amongst them was a bold advocate of free markets? We know it was Adam Smith. Rest all are incorrect options. Okay. So what did Smith believe? That government's role in society should be limited, but it should be well defined. Okay. So whatever is going to be the role of the government, limited but nice one. Okay. That means important one. Now, what the Smith saw was, let us read this page also now. Now, Smith saw an important resource allocation role for the government. स्मिथ ने एक important resource allocation role क्या ढूंढा गवर्नमेंट का? He underlined the role of government in national defense, okay, system of justice, and highly beneficial public institutions and public works. So these are the three main resource allocations. Why do we need national defense? Because we want to protect the nation from external violence, invasion. In that only government can actually play an effective role. Then we need a proper system of justice to provide internal law and order. That means there is peace and harmony in the nation also. And to protect property. That means if somebody just tries to steal my property from me, steal my land from me, or whatever assets I'm holding, so at least I have a proper system of justice wherein I can approach. That means some court system wherein I can go and approach and I can seek relief. So in that case also only the government can actually administer the placement of proper persons in the proper forums, right? Then the third one was that they are only the government is able to maintain highly beneficial public institutions. Like we have some very reputed government colleges in our country. Then we also have certain institutions which regulate essential services like water, postal system, right? Roads, highways like NHAI, that is Highway Authority. Then you have coal. So all these things, plus some public works, all these things are also being maintained by the government. Individuals will not be able to efficiently build and operate these kind of things because they seek profit, right? So this was the core area of Adam Smith, which he thought that this can only be administered properly by the government. Now, since the 1930s, more specifically as a consequence of Great Depression, the state's role in the economy has been distinctly gaining in importance. And therefore, the traditional functions of the state have been supplemented with what is referred to as economic functions, also called as fiscal functions. We'll understand this now. So, what Adam Smith noted was that after this Great Depression, the state's role, that is the role of the government, has become even more important. Okay, now the traditional functions which we saw above, now in after 1930s, what was being observed that they have to be supplemented with the economic functions, which are also known as fiscal functions or public finance functions. These synonyms can also become a part of your multiple choice questions. Now, while there are differences among different countries in respect of nature and extent of the government intervention in economies, all of them agree on one point that governments are expected to play a major role in the economy. So basically, all the nations today agree that governments have a major role to play. This comes out of the belief that government intervention will always influence the performance of the economy in a positive way. So everybody has this notion that if the government is intervening, it's not just for its own benefit, rather it is for the benefit of the people and it is helping them to, it is going to influence them in a positive manner. Now, this is one more economist and author, Richard Musgrave. He, in his classic treatise, The Theory of Public Finance, introduced a three-branch taxonomy of the role of the government in a market economy. What he believed that for conceptual purposes, the functions of the government are separated into three, namely resource allocation to ensure efficiency, income distribution to guarantee fairness, and macroeconomic stabilization to ensure price stability. Now, let us understand these one by one. Resource allocation means to which kind of things am I allocating my resources so that I'm cost efficient, I'm achieving my goal of profit maximization also, and ultimate satisfaction and the satisfaction of the needs and wants of the people. Then income redistribution is that it's not just that the rich become rich and the poor become poorer. The income redistribution should be in a fair manner that everybody gets a good amount of the national income which we are actually having. And the last is macroeconomic stabilization. That is, as a whole, there is price stability in the economy. So, what did Richard Musgrave say? He said that three-branch taxonomy of the role of government in a market economy includes all these three things. Okay. He said that three-branch taxonomy of the role of government in a market economy should include all these three things. Okay. Now, the allocation and distribution functions are primarily microeconomic functions. Okay. Allocation means which kind of resources we need to allocate, and distribution is to whom should we actually sell, that is for whom to produce. Okay. But when I talk about stabilization, that is price stabilization, especially, that is a macroeconomic function. And this is what is a nation's dream also, that we do not have many bouts of inflation as well as deflation, right? Now the allocation function aims to correct the sources of inefficiency in the economic system. What does allocation function aim to achieve or aim to correct? The sources of inefficiency. Another simple question, right? Because when we're allocating, see, when we're allocating means what? If I want to produce certain items of a commodity, should I deploy more labor or should I deploy more machines? So if I'm trying to allocate, let us say two laborers and let us say one machine instead of one laborer and two machines. So maybe I'm trying to reduce the chances of inefficiency in my economic system. Okay. Distribution system is like who is going to get what. Okay. Who is going to get what, and that the income distribution is fair. So these two are microeconomic. This is not determining the economy as a whole, whereas monetary policy, fiscal policy, economic growth, high levels of employment, price stability, all these are aspects of macroeconomic stabilization. This is a very important line. Please mark this line from the exam point of view also, as well as from proper understanding point of view. Okay. Monetary and fiscal policies, problems of, we'll understand what are these policies, don't worry. Okay, we'll understand. Fiscal is basically taxation or revenue generation, but we'll understand them in detail right now. So monetary and fiscal policies, macroeconomic stability, economic growth, maintenance of high levels of employment, price stability, all these are under stabilization. Okay, some of them I think you're able to understand by the name itself. Now the nation budget in general reflects the economic policy of the government. This can also be a question, surprisingly. Yes. So, what exactly it is saying that what reflects the economic policy of the government? The budget. Every year, the government prepares a budget. What does it do? It actually estimates its expenses and its receipts. Okay. So, government exercises its economic functions partly through the budget, partly as of its planning. Okay. Its plan is made. Now, the implementation part is, during the year. So budget basically reflects the economic policy. How does the government want an economy to function? Okay. So now that we're going to understand all this in detail, what are the different functions of the government? Now, this I'm going to cover in the next video. Okay. Thank you.